Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for April 28th, 2025. Call the meeting to order, and we have an administration request regarding the agenda item for item 7.1, 2025 proposed operating budget. So to move ahead of the bylaw items, so the agenda is adopted as amended to allow for the opportunity to undertake action item 7.1, 2025 proposed operating budget prior to the bylaw items. If council's all right with that? All right. Amended motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3, public hearings. There are none. Item 4, adoption of minutes. Item 4.1, minutes of the special meeting of council April 10th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
Mayor and Council, administration has nothing to add to the minutes, so back over to yourselves for approval.
All right. Anything arising? Somebody to make that motion. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the special meeting of council held on April 10th, 2025 as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 4.2, regular minutes of council April 14th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
Again, administration has nothing to add, so back over to council for approval.
All right. Any questions, changes? Councilor McLean.
Just ready to make a motion, Mr. Mayor. The council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 14th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, business arising. There are none. So moving on to this item 7.1, the 2025 proposed operating budget. Mr. Thibault.
So we'll have Mr. Rob Osmond come forward, and he'll explain what's going on in the operating budget. The reason for the move is we have to have the approval of the operating budget prior to reading any tax bylaw. So if we could have a look at this and see if we're happy with that, then we could move on to the tax bylaw portion after this.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Osmond.
There we go.
Should be operational. Yep.
All right, you can hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. So the first item I have up to speak with council about is the approval of the 2025 operating budget. At the last council meeting, we did have a session where we reviewed a series of options. We've made the necessary changes to the budget since the last time we talked. We've outlined them here. There was an increase to tax revenue. This is part of the discussion we had about we have the tax revenue has been reduced in this option to accommodate the additional contribution to reserves. And this 2% is additional based on the other changes we've made in the budget. So basically, in this option, the difference between the tax requirement of the budget and the amount of money being raised by the proposed tax rates is being contributed to reserves. We did remove the operating contingency. We removed the Director of Recreation position, the Planning Assistant, and the Finance Intern positions. We added the Director of Planning position. We removed the calculations that were included in the budget with regard to the 27th pay period. So I was able to confirm that the 27th pay refers to pay days, not to actual pay periods. And so we don't, we account for that in accrual accounting, and we don't need to account for that in our budgets. We removed the contracted services for ORSC and increased the write-off for tax incentives. So this is the residential and non-residential development tax incentives. So they were adjusted based on the newest information we had for assessment and tax rates. All of those changes together leave the budget in a surplus position of $576,000, $567,392, and in the proposed budget in front of you, that becomes a contribution to reserves. I think I spoke last week when we talked, or 2 weeks ago when we talked about this, that the additional contribution to reserves could be an important step in preparing us for when we see these changes in assessment, because right now we have a fairly steep, exponentially growing increase in assessment rates, and when that begins to readjust, having a little extra in those reserves will help us cushion that for the average taxpayer. I will highlight that administration did include a second option, because when we talked about, I think this was labeled option 2 last time I was in, we talked about kind of an option 2A and B. So the recommendation is just that those funds, the additional funds, be transferred to reserve. But we did produce an alternative for council where we made a further 1% decrease in tax revenue, $115,000. And so the only difference in that alternative would be the amount going into reserve would be approximately $115,000 less. And the tax revenue would be reduced as a result. So that is the summary of the operating budget we have before you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help where I can.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the excellent explanation. And it looks like good news for us to increase our rainy day fund, our revenues. I was just wondering, by decreasing the tax rate, so instead of 2% increase, it would just be a 1% increase? Is that what you're referring to?
So
By
in the
reducing it?
alternative
Yeah.
that's listed, yeah, it's a 1%, a further 1% decrease.
Okay, so up above it says added 2% increase to tax revenue. So then that would be amended to be added a 1% increase to tax revenue. If we took your one
Sorry.
alternative.
Yeah, so the version of the operating budget in front of you includes a 2% increase in tax revenue. The alternative would reduce that to 1.
To 1%.
So it's currently at 2.
Yeah.
Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you're saying an increase to tax revenue, not an increase to taxes? No.
Ultimately,
Are we collecting more taxes from more properties, or is it because of?
So in this case, in this version, we have reduced tax revenue, which once you've determined your budget requirement for taxes, that is how we determine what tax revenue needs to be raised by the bylaw. The ultimate effect is that we've reduced that amount because we know the assessments are driving that revenue up. So even if we, in this case, the current drafts have us with approximately a 9.6% decrease in the tax rates, but many properties won't see that in their action, and we'll review that when we get to the tax bylaw.
Okay.
But ultimately, the decrease in tax revenue overall is allowing for a lower tax rate. And what we're talking about is just a small portion of that. So adding a little bit more to reserves or a little bit less.
Okay, and the other thing, I'm really happy that you were able to remove the 27th day pay period. Like that, so I think it was just about $500,000. Yeah, that's a huge savings right there. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Councillor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're doing about a 9% decrease in municipal taxes. So if we take the other option, we'd be like doing a 10% decrease in municipal taxes. That where the other 1% would go. Now, where you say that municipal, like the province's tax rate has went up. So some people might not see that because there are a lot of our tax is part of the province sets. We only set the municipal portion. So either we are going to lower it about 9.3 or 10.3. Right? So that's good. And like I said, yeah, the 27th pay period seemed weird then, but now that's good. So either we lower at 9 or we lower at 10. That's good options.
All right, any other questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Osmond. Nice to meet you. I didn't
Face to face, yeah.
attend the last meeting. It's actually very simple, fellow council members and Mr. Mayor, that because of the very much increased assessment values of residential and businesses, we've got this increase in tax revenue, right? And from my perspective, to reduce the surplus of 567,000 and decrease it by 1%, which is $115,000 approximately, makes eminent sense to me. I really do. I think we're in the business of collecting as minimal taxes as we possibly can and still have a responsible, workable budget. So from my perspective, Mr. Mayor, I won't make a motion, but I'm leaning towards the 1% rather than 2%. I know it's the difference, 115,000, so what? Thank you.
All right, thank you. And just to clarify, is it more like $85,000 for the 1%? Councillor Becker, I thought it was under 100,000. I thought initially. Donna, is that, are you aware of that? Was it? Oh, okay. So Councillor Becker would be closer with that. Okay, okay. Okay. Great, all right, thank you. Okay, any other questions arising? Councillor Sorensen.
I'll just start the ball rolling then. That council approves the 2025 operating budget with an amendment to reduce tax revenue by 115,000 by reducing the transfer to reserves.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, what's your opinion on that, sir? Like, you're the money man.
So certainly the decision about how this goes is absolutely council's. I think the piece that I had brought forward last time was simply a concern that at some point we are going to see a correction in assessments, and the speed of that correction and how much it corrects will really determine the magnitude of the challenge it creates for the town of Taber. At that time, the more funds available in reserve for tax stabilization, the more council will be able to control the impact of that correction.
Cushion that big,
And so in many respects, my advice would be that if we would like at that time to be able to cushion the impact of those changes, we will be able to do that to the extent of reserves we have available. But the other side of that is essentially, are we going to essentially collect the money now and cushion later, or are we going to not collect the money now and not cushion later? So
I really liked your explanation at the last meeting about that. And we've always been a little bit behind the ball on our taxes. We're late keeping up with them. And I can't really support this, the way the amended motion. So I'd like to keep it as we discussed earlier.
Councillor Sorensen.
Well, I'll elaborate. I think that this still gives us a 1% cushion, and it doesn't put the burden on the taxpayers. So we are adding to reserves, but we aren't putting it to the detriment of the taxpayers. So I think this is mindful, and it suits everyone's needs for the moment.
All right, thank you, Councillor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They're forecasting a 10% increase again, the province, like when the guy come. So if that happens again, you know, we might as well run a responsible budget like Councillor Beckering thought and deal with it as it comes. There is a fear one day assessments from the province will be lower, and the burden will then fall on us to increase municipal tax rates. But why not keep them as low as we can while we can?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Effort. No, I would agree, given the tax ratepayer a break if we can is great news, I think, if that's doable, and sounds like kind of get the best of all worlds if we're doing that. And I think it's more than responsible all the way around, and it's, and difficult with everything else going on with all the other increases there. So I would support that motion as well. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't mean that it was irresponsible to go with the original motion. I'm just worried about down in the future that we're going to get hit with higher taxes, and if we have a little bit of reserve there to cushion then, 1% isn't a whole lot. Like, it's not a lot for taxpayers either way. But I always like to keep our rainy day fund up a little bit for emergencies like that.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right, on to item 6.1, proposed 2025 property tax rate bylaw 11/2025. Mr. Thibault.
My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. I had to look behind me to see it on the TV. So we'll have Mr. Osmond, you're going to be seeing a little bit of him because most of these next items are to do with finance, and so he'll walk us through the
right, thank
tax
you.
rate bylaw. Do you have a handout as well for this one, Rob, or not?
I just have one copy, actually, of the alternative bylaw. Yeah, if you could. We'll just get some copies of this one. Thanks, Donna. Sorry? Right, okay. All right. So Donna's just going to get us a copy. We had done up, because we had the alternative on the budget, knowing that that was a potential for council. We drafted a second bylaw. So the one that we have in the package is based off the recommended motion. Donna will bring us the other one. Ultimately, the conversation will stay relatively similar. I think this, though, is where I'd like to start the conversation about the handout we had, the tax information brochure. And so we've been putting this document together since we last spoke. And it's still in draft. It'll need some tweaking. We'll have to do some number changes along the way. And we just felt this was a good time to bring it forward, talk a little bit to council about kind of where we're at, and take the temperature, so to speak, on whether we got the right tone in here for council. So I'm going to start on the back side, which is where the pie chart is. So we start with a pie chart of kind of how is your tax dollar spent in the municipality. So we have all the operational function areas of the municipality, and then we have the missing piece of the pie. That 15.51% represents the provincial school tax. And we've left it blank to hammer home the idea that although the municipality collects this upon the province, we don't control how much is levied. We don't control how it's spent. We just collect it for them and turn it on. And so the changes we see in school tax, although they affect our taxpayer, and they affect our taxpayer on their tax bill from the town, it's not within our control. So we did run a bit of an example on the right-hand side where we talked, some of the numbers might appear a little different here, but what I'm looking to talk about is a detached single-family home. And so we ran the example of what that single-family home would have looked like in 2024 versus 2025. The most stark changes, I think, are in the assessed value of the property. We had our typical single-family home at approximately $339,000 of assessment last year, and that has increased approximately 11% to $377,000 in a single year. Now, the change here when we look at just the municipal tax, so this was based on the 9.61% decrease. So now we're talking to a number very close to 10.61. But at the time, we were talking about $15 increase in the municipal portion of the taxes. So despite almost a 10% tax decrease, we're still seeing a rise, and that's driven by that assessment change because we're not quite able to kind of absorb the entire tax change. Now it's important to remember that we use these general terms like typical single family home because although mass appraisal means that in average, homes are assessed very similarly. Individual homes change based on the finishes inside, the square footage, all of the things that are different. So that we probably won't get anybody who hits this example exactly, but we'll try our best. The next piece in here is the school tax rate. Again, a stark difference here. And the actual school tax rate itself only increased a little less than half of 1%. But because of the assessment increases on our example property, the school tax went from $850 to $950 year over year. So this property overall saw an increase of $120 in the bottom line on their tax bill, 100 of that being driven from that school tax change. And we've seen that across the province. The province in the budget outlined that they were going to be raising a significant, new amount for education tax, and that's what we're seeing here. They're raising that money. So this is provided for council to get an idea of what it is that we'd be putting out for communication. It's not finalized. We do have some numbers to tweak with the final approval of the tax bylaw, and we'll just make sure that everything is right where we want it. But the idea is that this would go out in the tax notices, which we'll get started on right away after, if we have approval of the tax rate bylaw tonight. So we did hand out the tax rate bylaw that corresponds with the approved operating budget. You can see here that we've outlined all the parts. I think the only piece that I'd like to focus on is section 4 under the tax rates. This is just another area of the bill where the general municipal portion is laid separate from the other requisitions. And it's a message that I'd like to keep carrying home every time I deal with tax bylaws, which is that message that the municipality doesn't control assessment, and we don't control any of the outside requisitions. We only control our tax rate and our budget and our tax rate. And so it's very important that when we're getting comments that, we do have to be responsible for the things we control, but not the things we don't. So,
Right, Councillor
if
Ruff,
there's any
any
questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing Councillor Firth brought up before was, we gotta really show, it does say in there that we are dropping our taxes municipally 9.61 decrease, but they are increasing. So, having a real talk about the province's side. Now, I do see it talks about appealing and how taxes are assessed. Do you guys feel that it's got enough about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like the message of we're lowering it 10.31%. However, somebody's taxes are gonna go up and think, they're not gonna see that. They're not gonna see this, you know what I mean? So maybe we gotta get that out through the paper or something like that, but that's the only thing I'm concerned about.
All right, thank you. Just to confirm, I think typically this would go out with the utility bills, would it not?
The idea is that it goes out with the assessments. We haven't had a
Okay.
one pager like this in the past to provide, so
Right.
this is sort of new.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Firth?
Thank you. Yeah, we did talk about, I think it's important that people understand where their taxes are going. And I think this strikes the balance of informing without getting so deep in the weeds that your eyes start to glaze over. I don't know that the average taxpayer is super interested, but I think it's important that this goes out because then people can look at it and they can understand that, where these numbers are coming from. That it's not just, we just plucked a number out of thin air and decided, I think our taxes should go up. The reality is that taxes always go up as costs go up. Costs increase, and there's only one taxpayer, right? So, yeah, I think this does a good job of explaining and also shows that we are also being responsible with the tax revenue that we are collecting. So I like it.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also to Danny, what's your last name? Remford. Councillor Remford, thank you. Holy goodness. I never use his last name very often. Anyways, okay, sorry. Over on the right-hand side, it does say, like, by lowering the rate, council helped cushion the impact of higher assessments, keeping the overall increase to a much smaller amount. So it's still addressing that it is going to go up a little bit, but we're still trying to cushion how much it's going up. So I agree with Councillor Firth that it is pretty as layman's terms as we can kind of get, which explains it nicely. I like the pictures, it helps. Try and be as simple as we can with also providing a little bit of information so people actually know where their taxes are going, how they're determined, and how they're kind of assessed and where it comes from. So I do appreciate this page. I think it's really helpful. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, none whatsoever. Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Sorensen, I think.
Beat someone? Excuse me. Are we right here? All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make the motion that council gives first reading to bylaw 11-2025, being the as amended, being the 2025 property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as presented. As amended, sorry. I put as amended in earlier. I put it in twice.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried down. Thank you. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will do the second motion that council gives second reading to bylaw 11-2025, being the 2025 property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried down. Thank you. The third required motion, Councillor Remford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council unanimously agrees to proceed with third and final reading to bylaw 11-2025, being the 2025 property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried down. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives third and final reading to bylaw 11-2025, being the 2025 property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.2, 2024 capital projects carry forward. Mr. Tebow.
I think we should be at item 6.2, Mr. Mayor. Still in the bylaw section?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. Yeah, 6.2, proposed supplementary tax rate bylaw 12-2025. Mr. Tebow.
So again, we'll have Mr. Osmond go through this, and I believe we'd also be doing something, the motions, assuming council passes this through as amended instead of as presented.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering?
Prepared to make a motion
Very well.
that council gives first reading to bylaw 12-2025, being the 2025 supplementary property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The second required motion, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council give second reading to bylaw 12-2025, being the 2025 supplementary property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Third required motion, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that council unanimously agrees to proceed with third and final reading to bylaw 12-2025, being the 2025 supplementary property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. The fourth required motion, Councillor Remford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council gives third and final reading to bylaw 12-2025, being the 2025 supplementary property tax rate bylaw for the town of Tabor as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.3, bylaw 9-2025 lending bylaw. Mr. Tebow.
So if council recalls, the first reading of this was done a while back. We've gone through the public process and now we're back in front of you. TD Cala has met all the requirements that we wanted to get to this point, and we have to do a lending bylaw. So I'll hand it over to Rob.
Right, thank you. Mr. Osmond.
All right, so the bylaw we have in front of you is simply presented for second and final readings. There was one piece in the original motion, there was a request that invoices and expenses would be submitted prior to payment of the loan. And I just wanted clarification that that was just an intent for us to understand that the project had gone ahead as designed before we released. And if that's the case, then we can go ahead. The bylaw actually doesn't speak to that point. So it's just a matter of clarification that that was the intent of council, that we have that confirmation. And then it's a 10-year repayment of an interest-free loan with semi-annual payments.
All right, thank you. Any questions? So prepared to make the required motion. Pardon me? Oh, all right. Councillor Sorensen.
Does someone from council sit on this board? Could you give an update, please?
Yeah, I sit on this board. They are moving forward with the renovation of the new building. Nothing's been started yet. They have taken possession, I believe. And that's kind of as far as things have moved. They were successful in their application for the CFEP, the Community Facility Enhancement Program grant, which was a condition of our loan as well. So all the funding, I believe, is in place. So they're just ready to get going. If anybody has any other questions, happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think to answer your question is that, like on number 3, the invoices / expenses will be submitted before payments are made. I think on our end, we were just wanting to see that they were making progress before we just keep on handing money over to them, that we wanted to see actual expenses and invoices coming in. That's kind of why we put that in there, is before we just hand over free money, we wanted to see that progress is actually being made.
Understood. We can do that. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a project completion before payment. So we're all good.
All right, thank you.
Understand. Thank you.
Councillor Firth.
Yeah, I was just going to say almost exactly what Councillor McLean said, so.
All right, no other questions. Councillor Sorensen.
I'd just be prepared to make a motion that council give second reading to bylaw 9-2025, being the lending bylaw, TD Cala building upgrade project of the town of Taber.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carry now. Thank you. And the second required motion, Councillor Renfort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council gives third and final reading to bylaw 9-2025, being the lending bylaw, TD Cala building upgrade project of the town of Taber.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carry now. Good, thank you. All right, on to item 6.4, proposed Taber Municipal Police Commission bylaw. Mr. Thibault.
So patiently waiting in the gallery, we've got John McDonald, the Police Commission Chair, and Chief Abella, the Police Chief. Come on forward. And this happens typically annually. The police come forward and speak to their bylaw and their policy manual.
Right,
Sorry,
thank you.
Wendy Chisholm as well is
yes.
here, so come on up.
You took my thunder. I was going to introduce her.
Right, Mr. McDonald, welcome. Wendy,
Mr. Mayor,
welcome. Chief,
councilors, have you met Wendy before? Excellent. So anyways, so this is part of the training program for vice chairs going to chairs, right? So I'm here to go over the bylaw, 6-2025. Prior to our commission meeting, we had a very good meeting with CAO. We went through the whole process of what we had discussed previous meetings at the commission and made the presentation. So we went through and worked through a deliberation to understand the wording of the bylaw and to make sure that there was a consensus on both sides and wording that was acceptable on both sides, and to move forward to today we're here. So the commission we review these policy manuals, the bylaw manual, every year. That's the driver for everything else that'll come forward. So on an annual basis, it's reviewed, and then its recommendations are made. If there's no recommendations, there's nothing to report, but otherwise there should be. So the first thing that I want to go here on 4.0, Police Commission responsibilities. In any government operated situation, we're governed by acts. So we know what we have to do in the act. So if we have to go back to the Bible, we read the Bible. The responsibility of the Taber Municipal Police Commission shall be as established in the Police Act, the Police Services Regulation, and the Police Services Bargaining Act. So those are the three acts that we have to follow in this particular situation, but all the time. And then for the purpose of section 4.1, in accordance with the Police Officers Collective Bargaining Act, Council directs through bylaw and policy that the committee appointed to the bargain on behalf of the town of Taber with the Taber Police Association be the office holder of their representative of the CAO, the chair of the commission, the director of HR, and the chief of police. The CAO will lead negotiation process. And that's just so we know the team. We know when they present to the town, they're ready to negotiate. They know the team's brought together and all the information is there, and the negotiations go forwards. And that's what we're presenting today for bylaw.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On 8.2, have we always had the chief of police sit on the board for negotiating this?
So I've only been doing this for 8 years, so it's been around longer. But the other two negotiations that I sat on, the chief of police was part of it.
Was he more a resource or?
He's more operational resource. So if there's a presentation made for a certain benefit or a certain creation of direction, he can tell us, the negotiating committee, if it's going to work or not. And the other thing it's important for the chief to be there is that if there's a change or some representation that would greatly affect the budgets of all the police forces in the province, he'll tell us that may not be the right thing to agree to. So he has that background knowledge of everything that's happening. And that's what he's there for. He's not sitting on the table when they're actually negotiating with the other side. He's just there for resource when we sit back.
Oh, that's the case. He's not the fox guarding the hen house.
No, the old wolf. The old wolf.
All right, thank you. Councilor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. McDonald and Wendy, for a presentation. As usual, a very good job, very clear, and I'm very, very happy with 8.2. There was some discussion around that, of course, and that's
fine.
okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope, it's good discussion.
And I think that this makes eminent sense that the person who actually runs the police department should be a very powerful and very effective resource for negotiations and provide input to the negotiators. Also, I'm very happy to see that, after all, the CAO is the boss. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Sorensen.
Yeah, I just, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. And there's a committee that really looks at this with a fine-tooth comb, and I really want to thank them for the time they spent in deliberating on this. And again, the chief got his ear to the ground. Kind of, it makes sense for him to be a part of this committee for his advice that he can give during the negotiations. So I would accept and approve this recommendation, and I'd like to make a motion if I may. I'd like to make the motion that council gives first reading to the Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 6-2025.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Counselor Remford. Sure. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that council, oh, did we got a vote? Did we vote?
We did already. We
Oh,
did
did
one.
we? All right. I voted. I just was making sure.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. You have an error in there? Chief,
Yes,
you
sir.
better go ahead.
Through the chair to the mayor. Under 4.1, the appropriate wording for what the legislation is the Police Officers Collective Bargaining Act and not the Police Services Bargaining Act. So it's just an omission of a few words or just a simple error, but
Okay.
if the bylaw can be amended to say Police Officers Collective Bargaining Act, under 4.1, that would meet the purposes of the legislation and would be appropriate.
So can I change my motion
Thank you.
to as amended?
It's okay.
As amended.
We'll do it after.
But we already voted on it.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, so Dan's gonna make, so you can amend it at second reading.
All right, Mr. Tebow?
That's what I was gonna say. So second reading, it can be the same, but end with as amended.
Then we're
And
fine.
then we're good, and then we repeat that again on
Yeah, okay.
on the third.
Okay, Counselor Remford.
First, Garth, you're supposed to usually pick up on that first, right?
know,
So
sorry, I was
I just
just-
wanted to make sure you knew that. I want to make sure you knew that. Thank you, Carly.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that council gives second reading to Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 6-2025 as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. The third required motion, Counselor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council unanimously agrees to proceed to third and final reading of the Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 6-2025 as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The fourth required motion, Counselor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion that council gives third and final reading to Municipal Police Commission bylaw 6-2025.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Just to confirm.
As amended.
Counselor Firth, did you have a question?
I've already
Yours,
amended
okay.
it, so I don't have to read it.
All right. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, on to item 7.2 now, the 2024 capital projects carry forward. Mr. Tebow.
Again, we'll have Mr. Rob Osmond come up and talk about the capital projects. This was discussed in the audit committee, and typically we bring it forward, and the listing of the capital projects is there. So we'll let Rob go through, and if there's any questions, feel free.
All right, Mr. Osmond, you go ahead.
Thank you very much. So the capital project carry forward list is simply a list for council's information to understand which of our capital projects are carrying forward into the new year. Capital projects, unlike operating, continue until they are either complete or canceled by council. So these projects that we have identified in this list, in this one, they're identified as C/F. For carry forward. Those projects are not yet complete and are carried forward with the intention for them to be completed. There are some programs there with additional description. There's a number of them that are pending grant approval. I noticed there's a couple from the STIP grant approval. And that's a program where there's a long line up and you just keep applying until you get to the front of the line. So some of those projects carry forward for those reasons. Where we have it, we have those for you. But again, an information item for council. If there's any questions.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I just really appreciate this detailed list. You know, where we're sitting with budget, the actual, and then the variance, and just seeing if we're over budget or under budget. And I love it when we're under budget, so good job. So I just want to thank administration for this because it does alleviate all the questions that sometimes I may have.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? All right. Prepared to make the required motion. Counselor Remford.
I'll make a motion that council approves the list of 2024 capital projects in in the amount of $9,996,610 to be carried forward to 2025.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Firth, you have a question? Okay. He beat you by about half a second.
I know. My fingers are slow. I know, I gotta practice my language.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.3, 2024 audited financial statements. Mr. Tebow.
Again, one more time for the Rob Osmond Show. This did go in front of the audit committee, obviously, and then forwarded to council, so I'll hand it over to Rob.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Osmond.
Finance only does this a couple of times a year, but yeah. The audited financial statements were presented by our auditor, Derek from KPMG. So I won't attempt to represent his piece. But I will point out that in addition to approval of the consolidated financial statements, there is a recommendation here that council approves the transfer of $1 million from unrestricted funds to capital reserves. So that's just as we move through the years, money does sometimes accumulate in the unrestricted portion of accumulated surplus. By moving it into reserve, it puts a restriction on it so that it doesn't get kind of thought of as available for anything money. And it sets it aside for council purpose and designation at a later date. So we do try to keep that accumulated surplus number manageable. And in this case, we have the capacity to transfer about $1 million. So we'd like to do that in addition to the approval of the statements.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Right, someone prepared to make the required motion. Councilor Firth.
Got it in time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the 2024 audited consolidated financial statements for December 31st, 2024 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councilor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prepared to make a second motion that council advises administration to make available the approved consolidated financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024 in PDF booklet to any ratepayer free of charge.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that council approves the transfer of $1 million from unrestricted funds to capital reserves.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.4, proposed changes to Taber Municipal Police Commission Policy Manual. Mr. Tebow.
So we'll have Chief Abella and Police Commission Chair John McDonald come forward again. This goes hand in hand with the bylaw, and typically policy update happens each year as well. So over to you folks.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor and Council. So when we set this committee to do the bylaw, the next thing that has to happen is we have to update this policy manual. It has to be, it's what we follow. So it has to be updated and has to be clear. So there's some changes here that are housekeeping, like 2025. That's on like page 3 of 57. That date was changed. 5 of 57, that date was changed. 4 of 57, just changes so it's legal. On page 757, it's on F is added. To bargain with Taber Police Association through a committee on behalf of the town of Taber in accordance with bylaw 6-25. So that's so we know when we review the bylaw, and we're going here that this is what we're going to do. And the other thing I want to point out, policy review, modifications must receive commission and council approval. Make sure that's noted. And the bigger changes is section 3.4, collective bargaining by the municipality. And there it's defined on 1, in accordance with the Police Officers Collective Bargaining Act, council directs through bylaw and policy and the committee appointed to bargain on behalf of the town of Taber with the town of Taber Police Association to the office holder of the representative of the CAO, chair of the commission, director of HR, chief of police. The CAO will lead the negotiation process. So again, the wording's there to make it clear. It can't be misconstrued at all. 2, with notification of intent to bargain as received from the Taber Police Association, the appointed committee of the municipality within 15 days, Section 5.3 of the Act, will meet with the association to commence bargaining in good faith. The committee shall meet prior to that date, discuss current contract and decide on contract changes are required to ensure management rights are maintained and agree on what additions or deletions may be made to the contract and discuss salary and benefits. 3, the committee will provide the association with proposals and dates agreeable to the association to collective bargain. And 4, every effort will be made to enter into an agreement. If this does not occur, the remaining of the provision of the Act will be followed, including mediation and interest arbitration. And that's the bailiwick. That's straightforward. And I want to thank the CAO for meeting with us that day to make sure we get this straightened out.
All right, thank you. Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation again, and I'd just like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that council approves the proposed changes to the Taber Municipal Police Commission Policy Manual as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.5, Chief Administrative Officer Performance Evaluation Policy. Mr. Tebow.
So I believe Ms. Grace Noble is here to go through this. This one falls under HR, and I'll let her run through.
Great, thank you. Ms. Noble.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
So before you today, we have the CAO Performance Evaluation Policy for renewal. There are no changes being presented. It's just been reformatted into our updated formatting for policies, and I'm available to take any questions.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? Councilor McLean.
Just prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that
well.
council accepts the Chief Administrative Officer Performance Evaluation Policy C-13 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.6, Sports Field Surface Allocation. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Mr. Brian Martin come forward and explain this one to council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The Rec Department recognizes the need for higher demand on our sports fields, mainly in the last few years. And we're presenting a draft copy of the proposed sports field surfaces allocation policy for your approval. This policy mirrors a policy that we use for our ice allocations. We've been using it for years. We just noticed that we're getting more demand for some of our soccer fields or our baseball fields. So we want to have a matching policy for that.
All right, thank you. All right, Councilor Ramford, you bet. You go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council approve the sports field services allocation policy as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Firth, you had a question? Okay, very well.
No.
Yeah.
If there's a policy, there is a matching procedure, yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just very vague, like, about, like, how it's allocated or what, like, the procedure, I guess, is what I was curious about, which I know is administration side, but.
Yeah, so I believe the way it works is council approves the policy,
Yes.
the CAO approves the procedure.
Correct.
So we have the procedure kind of in draft form already.
Okay.
And like I mentioned before, it mirrors almost exactly the way the ICE one is.
Okay.
We administer to the youth groups first, and we work up from there.
Right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tebow.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention actually that exact same thing. If you were to look online, you can see the ice surface procedure.
Okay.
And so you can expect that the procedure for the sports fields would be very similar. But certainly can be, I can circulate it to council. the approval lands here typically, but
Yes.
before we put it online, I could certainly email it around, and if there was something in particular that someone thought would be helpful, I would be open to that, but
I have full confidence in administration and that you will do what the procedure says. I was just curious. The policy is often very vague. I'm like, and then more of the details are in the procedure. So
yeah.
I was just curious, but
Yeah.
I will go online and look at it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I was just wondering if this was shared with the rec board and if their opinion was given to administration.
Yes, it was.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, there is. You're right. Yeah, sorry. Talk about something nice. It's lost in the shuffle. Something. All right. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Chair now. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.7, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
So two information items. One would be the Chinook Arts Library Board report. They provide their financial audited statements, so nothing that I'd really be able to speak to, but there they are. And the second item, I would normally have Amy speaking to this particular item, but Amy's not in today, so I'll do my best. So we had talked to council before about the AIP program, and this is just sort of the final results after it's all said and done. So the program did get completed March 31st, and the notes that I have speak to something like this. AIP program officially closed March 31st, attached to the final stats for the program. It is remarkable to note that 117 businesses across the region were actively involved in the program with candidates, and that 337 candidates were approved. That's 337 full-time year-round positions that were filled in the region through the program, greatly boosting our local workforce options. The program was a testament to regional collaboration and the importance of workforce development programs in fueling business investment, growth, and retention. So if council recalls, this was kind of one of the only programs that was collaborative in nature, where we looked after a bunch of other municipalities. And so that's why the numbers, most of them locally here, but there was other places. And also that we do look forward to continuing to work with our businesses to find ways to help support them in their growth and developing the regional workforce. So we're not out of the woods on the regional workforce, but this was very helpful. It was also noted at the EDA conference that any economic development work plan that exists today should include the idea of your workforce labor options, which is something that we had already looked after a fair bit through this program. And that's all that I had for notes on that. So over to council if there were any questions.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to commend the program. What other program do we see 337 newcomers come to Southern Alberta, and specifically perhaps to our community? So I just want to welcome all of these new residents to our area, and I hope our businesses thrive in our community, and we can hopefully get a different program or something similar to help our community grow even more.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Sorensen. Absolutely, yes, that's great. Anything else attached to that? All right, thank you. No motion required. Moving on to department reports. I'll go through them individually. If you have any questions, please advise. Starting with the Recreation Department. Administrative Service Department, Councillor Firth.
Sorry, lots of questions today. I was just curious, do we have a chairperson for the Southern Alberta Summer Games yet? We do. Fantastic.
All right.
Oh, was that okay?
I see
Yeah,
Mr.
that was the
Martin
official.
nodding his head, yeah, from across,
The
so-
official answer is
Yeah,
yes,
the
with the
official
nod.
answer is yes. Okay, great.
All right. Okay, that's great. Mr. Tebow, have something else to add there?
There was just a highlighted portion, and I'd like to bring up Megan Brennan, if she could just speak to that, because she could speak to it better than I could, as much as she probably doesn't want to. I'd like her to.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brennan.
looks like I'm taking my comedy show on the road. The Canadian Public Relations Society has asked me to present on the success Tabor's had on our marketing and humor. They saw me do a similar version of this last year at the Alberta Municipal Communicators Conference, and apparently the video has been circulating, so goodness help me. They've asked me, and I'm part of the Canadian Professional or Public Relations Society, so it's a huge honor to go and present to their AGM, their president, their chapters. So not my chapter, that's the Edmonton region, but very, very honored to do so. And I have 20 ostriches to thank for that.
All right, great. Yes, thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
All right, on to administrative service reports, CAO reports, economic development report. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I seen that there's a new economic development assistant. Did you guys announce who that was last time? Maybe I wasn't here for it.
Mr. Tebow?
Of course, you had to ask a question Amy's not here to answer. Great. Right, so, thank you. I heard the whispers. So we actually hired Kara, I want to say Astolos, is that how you pronounce it? Astolos. So she's kind of fulfilling a dual role, so the same name for the Southern Alberta Summer Games is how we got that accomplished. So she's not spending much time in the office right now because she's been seconded to the Summer Games, so she's looking after that over at the Recreation Department. So thanks for whispering the name.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen, another question on that? Okay. Okay, on to fire department reports, HR department reports, engineering and public works report. Councillor Sorensen.
I did have one, and I'm not sure if, maybe Mr. Egan can answer. I seen that there's problems with the Lagoon Solar Project. Is there an area of concern, or is this just something that we can figure out together with Fortis?
Sorry, the Lagoon Dredging Project? Oh, solar project. That's the solar panels out at the lagoon location. And part of the issues, and they're not substantial issues at this point in time, but there were issues with contractors and subtrades having financial difficulties and going out of business. And so there was some adjustments that had to be made in how we actually executed the project. And because of that, there's a little bit of a follow-on. It's not really warranty work in the classical sense, but that's essentially what it is where we're just making minor changes to the operational conditions so that we meet Fortis's requirements. So it's mostly a technical issue with an agreement rather than a technical issue with the actual panels or their performance.
Okay, that was my question, if it was actual the capital item that it was faulty or something.
No,
Okay, thank you.
the system works well. Okay. It just doesn't meet everybody's fine print at this particular moment in time.
All right, thank you. On to treatment facilities reports, facilities management reports, and planning department report. Councillor Sorensen.
Sorry, I did some reading. So I just needed a clarification as to what's the difference between development permits and the building permits, because there's a variance. So like our building stats are way up, but then the development permits are a little bit less. So I was just wondering for clarification for that, please.
So the town has the responsibility to issue development permits. And so those are related to the land use bylaw that the town passes, and the planning and development department review each of the development permits or applications. So when someone wants to build anything in town, the department reviews it to make sure it's in conformance with the requirements of each of the land use bylaw subsections, districting. Any variances they would bring forward, and they either come to council or to to the MPC for review and final approval. So the town looks after that. The building permits are, the town is technically responsible for those. We hire Superior Safety Codes to, because the building permits are the way that our building system across Canada ensures that the actual builders follow the safety requirements of the National Building Code, the Alberta Handicapped Accessibility Code, and the other codes, technical codes that apply to actual construction projects. And so the development permits occur early, and we don't really review the drawings, and the developer provides an estimate of the cost that they think at that moment in time that their development will actually require from them. So that's one issue. So later on in the process, when they get a building permit, they typically have a much more accurate idea of what they're doing, scope of work. And so that number can change a little bit. The other place that the building permits don't show up is in the underground services and things that we actually manage. And so the development is for the entire thing, and the building permits are typically for, you see it from Superior Safety Codes, are just for structures, things like. So there's the two major components that will drive a difference in the two sets of numbers.
Yeah,
But they should be generally the same.
Yeah, I'm just, looking at the numbers and they just don't quite add up. So I was just wondering the full circle.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I should mention is a development permit application doesn't guarantee that they will actually go through and build the actual. Yeah. So we'll have a development permit that will stay and maybe be renewed several times, and then for some circumstance that the developer sees, they just don't proceed with the project, and they may resell the land or do something else with it. And so that is also another fairly substantial driver. There's also a built-in delay that might be a year or two, or sometimes more, where a permit application in 2021 is still there, and we're waiting for a final conditions to be met, and then for them to apply for a building permit if they do. So those are the major ways that those numbers don't actually jive, but they should be pretty close.
All right, thank you. You're covered. All right, that's everything up to date. Moving on to mayor and council reports. Councillor Sorensen, can you start us off, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And unfortunately, I did miss a couple council meetings due to personal reasons, and I apologize for that. But I'm here and back with it and ready to serve the community the best I can.
All right, thank you. Councillor Redford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings I was able to attend. I did attend the Pro Rodeo on the weekend. It was unbelievably busy. Like, it must be picking up, but I mean, it was fun. So I know you can't go to it because it's already over, right? Smile Cookies coming up right now. Go down and buy Smile Cookies. And McHappy Days is coming in. So there's going to be some Tabor Minor hockey and some hockey kits. The McDonald's here is donating to the Tabor District and Health Foundation, and the McDonald's here got one of the most donations, I think, Canada-wide. So we do really good at that Happy Days here. And Summer Games registration opens May 12th. And join Ball Hockey. They've got a real good ball hockey chair, right? And it's going to be run very well, right? So.
And who would that chair be?
That would be me, chair of the Ball Hockey Association.
All right, thank you, Councillor Redford. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all the committee meetings required. I was reappointed as the secretary of the Highway 3 Development Association, and everything else is going good.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all the meetings I was required to attend. I also attended the FCSS All Councils meeting in Coaldale along with Councillor Beckering and you, and is that all? That's it. Yeah. And the Tabor Gymnastics Fitness Club's 10th anniversary. and the Taber and District Sports Hall of Fame just on the weekend, inducting the 1970 Taber Moose Bantam baseball team. Also, I sit on the board for the Taber and District Community Adult Learning, and we are looking for more board members. So if there is anybody in the community that has an interest in community learning or education and would like to join, I would encourage them to do that.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I attended most of the meetings I was supposed to attend. I attended the all-council meeting in Coaldale as a board member, of course. Also was awarded with a nice pen for acting as chair for about 8 years. Very nice. I missed the last council meeting because of ill health. And I went back in my records, in my almost 20 years in council, it was my third missed meeting, Mr. Mayor. So I think I was owed one. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you for that, Councillor Beckering. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended all meetings as I was required to. I missed one library board meeting because we had a special council meeting, but and I also did attend the tour of the food bank along with the mayor and the MD council, which was very informative. It was really nice to go and see that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And for myself, I attended a variety of meetings and took care of a variety of document requirements and check signing duties as per usual. I also attended the Alberta Vegetable Growers AGM. I attended and participated in the Cowboy Poetry and Song event. I also attended the FCSS All Councils meeting in Coaldale. I took care of the Taber 120th anniversary interview with our own Miss Brennan. She made a lot of fun. That was good, I think, overall. I also attended the Taber Charity Auction, as well as the Taber Gymnastics Fitness Club 10th anniversary, and the D.A. Ferguson Quebec Exchange dinner invite as well, including the Taber Evangelical Church Easter breakfast invite, Taber Food Bank tour as well. I attended the DQ Blizzard Day. Also attended the Friday night Legends Rodeo at Taber Agriplex, full house and very well done event, and I think they get better every year. So I'd certainly encourage anybody to attend that in the future and support the Legends Rodeo group as well as the Taber Agriplex. I did also attend the LDS Temple Lethbridge groundbreaking event, as well as the Buster's Donair and Pizza grand opening. And I also attended the Taber Sports Hall of Fame dinner invite, as well as just today starting the Tim Hortons FCSS Smile Cookie Campaign fundraiser event. So encourage everyone to attend and participate. I know other council members are also going to be part of that, as well as the community to support that as best we can for FCSS and all the programs involved. So that would be my report. Any other questions attached to that? All right, moving on to item 710, standing item council requests. Mr. Thibault.
All right, I'll go straight to the listing. There are still 5 items on there, 4 of them in progress. The one item we have completed was from Councillor Firth, and we've just kind of referred that over to grant opportunities at this point in time. So not lost on us, but we're calling it completed off the list. The rest that remain in progress, I believe a couple of them we'll see at the next meeting to be able to be spoken to and then completed. And the rest will remain in progress. I don't know if we'll have them at the next meeting or not. So over to council if there was anything to add to the list.
All right, thank you. Any new standing item council requests? Councillor Sorensen.
Why not? Why not? I'm back. Just a couple businessmen in town mentioned that going to the Municipal Planning Committee meeting, meeting that deadline every month sometimes is a burden. And it's only 1 meeting per month. And then if they need something approved, they have to pay a fee. I was wondering if there's any interest in changing the schedule. I know that, development is really booming here in the community, and perhaps we need to hold more than 1 meeting per month. Just wondering on council's thoughts on that.
All right, any comments, questions? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a question. So they were frustrated that they had to wait a whole month, or that like, so they're worried that, so they couldn't meet the deadline, which, so on the one hand, on the one hand, they're held every month so that people have time to get their paperwork in. But then on the other hand, yeah, a month is still a long time to wait, I guess, if you get it in like the day after. But yeah, I don't know.
You know, and especially when we do have a lot going on in the community, I don't want to make it harder for businesses to get their, you know, ducks in a row. And, you know, I know there's a fee involved in holding a special meeting. So just some thoughts as to, you know, is there any interest in changing the fee for that special meeting? Is there any interest in holding more meetings during busier times of development, which would be maybe spring to fall? Just some thoughts.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through Councillor Sorensen, like, I think I understand like what you're trying to get. It's like, we want to be as business friendly and as development friendly as possible. We don't want to be unnecessarily hindering development in our community. So I wouldn't be opposed to like taking a look at our MPC. It must be a bylaw that governs, and just seeing if there's any changes that can be made to maybe streamline the process. Like, I think we have done that before, but perhaps if we're hearing that maybe some changes need to be made, we can take another look at it.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sit on the MPC committee, and really our meetings aren't overwhelmed with a lot of permits. Sometimes they're quite short, sometimes they're a little longer, but I think the ability to be able to call a special meeting if it is important or needs quick answers or decisions made, I think that's fine. Because it is calling a special meeting, I think perhaps a fee is really, you know, it's a volunteer board. I think a special fee to get everyone together and all that isn't really out of line with that. But we're not overwhelmed at the MPC. Celine does a great job organizing the agenda, and she has rushed some things in at the last minute, so it does make the meeting. So I really haven't run into it too much.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You cannot make all the people happy all of the time. So therefore, we don't want to stifle development, we know all that, but for heaven's sake, unless it's an emergent nature, like Councilor Bruin just said, you can call a special meeting, but for heaven's sake, we don't need more meetings to have more meetings.
All right, thank you. Councillor Effort.
Yeah, I sit on the MPC also, and they're run very good. I mean, I like them, so if there was more of them, I'd go to them, so.
They are fun.
All right, thank you. Councillor Swords.
Well, maybe just to satisfy my interest, I'd like to make a motion for us to, for administration to review the bylaw for this Municipal Planning Commission and come forward with any suggestions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councillor Effort, any questions?
Just one quick thing. The one thing that I only worry about is the volunteer base, you know, to keep company. Like me and Jack, we love it down here, so we'll come anytime. But I do hope administration looks at that factor a bit. You know, there's 3 gentlemen that sit on it that, you know, I don't want to put too much, like they come to everything. So I just hope administration looks at that.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you. And just to make a note, the fee is basically to cover the services to prepare everything so that we can have that special meeting. That's basically it. It's not like an exuberant amount of money just to have a special meeting. And again, these people are volunteers. They're not paid to come to these meetings. So then when a special meeting is called, they do show up, which is lovely. But yeah, it's mostly administrative costs to have that special meeting is what the fee is for, just for information.
Yeah, and again, just to review it and see if there's a way to make the process a little bit easier for business.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, opposed, carried. All right. Thank you. Okay, so no other new stand item council requests? Councilor Sorensen?
I have one more that's kind of just a thorn in my side. Just the ATM in the Civic Center. I just feel that there should be some way for the public to have some type of access to an ATM during events. And I know there's one in the hockey arena, but in the summer, I think it's moved, the ATM's moved to the golf course. But really, with the Corn Fest and then the Tabor's celebrating the 120th anniversary, and we're having more and more events in that area, it would help, foster economic growth in that area if we had the ATM. So I would like to make a motion for administration to investigate the possibilities of installing an ATM in the Civic Center.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Rempert, any question?
Yes, so that is, a gentleman owns that ATM, so he makes the money by moving it back and forth. So I don't know how we would force him to have one at the golf course and then have one at the, at the rink, because it's contracted, right? So we'd have to. Yeah, so it is somebody that we'd have to make sit there.
Right, all right. Councilor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Exactly what Councilor Renford said. It is a private entity that runs those ATMs. But we can certainly put the offer out to them if they're willing to put more machines out. And if it's a money-making proposal, I'm sure they would jump at it. So it'd be nice to have it, but if there's no money in it, they probably don't want to do it.
All right, Mr. Tebow.
Just to note that we have visited this once before, even since I've been here, so it'll be an easy one for us to go back and revisit what we had already explored. It is landing with the folks the fellow that council members are talking about, and at that time he didn't have any interest, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any interest at this point in time. So we can certainly, no problem revisiting that.
All right, Councilor Sorensen?
Yeah, just if there's different technology out there that he's, different equipment, something that's changed in the past 3 years, 4 years since I brought it up.
All right. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Carried. It's carried. Any other stand item council requests? Seeing none? Okay.
Shut her mic off.
Yeah. All right, Councilor.
No, and then I can.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then, we're moving on to our delegations, so we're a little early, but, everybody in favor of going ahead with our delegations? We were present. So, item 8.1 delegations, Mr. Steve Van Geest, Trail 77. Mr. Tebow.
Yeah, come on up, both of you, and yeah,
Mr. Hookstra's
Mr.
also
Hoekstra,
here.
and,
Okay,
and
thank
go
you.
ahead and give the presentation. I believe that this was already in front of the rec board at one point in time, and rec board's recommendation was to bring it in front of council, so here it is.
Correct. All right, thank you. Gentlemen, welcome.
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. What's that? Yeah, I needed help.
Where?
Tough room.
Yeah, really tough crowd.
Yeah, sorry. All right, go ahead, Mr. Van Geest.
So it's a two-part presentation. I'm Steve Van Geest and this is Klaus Hoekstra. We're both board members of the Trail 77 group. So I'll be presenting on kind of what we did last year and our goals for this year, and then Klaus got our kind of partnership program that we're trying to present to you guys. So 2024 was another incredible year for the Trail 77 group. We welcomed a lot of new faces and our membership remains strong. Thriving membership not only promotes the group, but also strengthens our voice with the town and the MD. Our relationship remains both strong with both of you guys. Working with the town has been phenomenal, and the MD as well. So, with these key partnerships and the ongoing support of our community, our trail network continues to expand, becoming a fantastic resource for both residents and visitors to explore. Our volunteers have been amazing. They play a huge role in making these projects a success. It's a pretty passionate group, and we've accomplished a lot in this past year. Some of the highlights from the 2024 season, around 160 members, around 700 hours of trail building, trail maintenance, the pump track landscape. We finished off the Interlakes Green Trail, the reroute climb of Goose Down. We did a portion of Dia de los Muertos. We started on a new trail, which we call Upper TikTok. This will be a volunteer-built trail. It'll take about 1 to 2 seasons to build, about 1.3 to 1.5 kilometers long. Our events have remained super strong. The Tabor Tough, the Tough Old Man, the Old Man Mayhem, the weekly group rides and runs. The kids program, Gnarly Niblets, continues to sell out within the same day that we open it. All our additional volunteer events above that 700 or 680 that we're doing just on the trail maintenance side. The Pump Track and Skills Park was finished off last year. We had an awesome event. It was a bit of a roller coaster to kind of get the park finished, but we got it done. The volunteers to help landscape was awesome. It was like May long weekend, the Saturday and the Monday. We had 15 to 20 people come out. There's so many donors that made this park come to a finished product. There are too many to list here, but there's a big sign at the park that kind of lists them all. The grand opening and the naming of the park after Rowan Becky was a huge success. We had a lot of people come and had a barbecue and some guys come out and demo stuff, so that was pretty cool. It was a great way to open up to the community. Some goals for the 2025 season, and some have already actually been completed. We had Western Trail come in. They built the first couple of trails in the new Horsefly Spillway area. Just this, I think we've opened them now 2 weeks ago. So we're going to continue on the Upper TikTok Trail. The yearly maintenance will continue, buffing out areas, lots of weed whipping and pruning. The fundraising campaign that we're trying to get into that Klaus will present on. And then all the events from 2024 are going again in the 2025 season, the races, the running races, the group rides, all that stuff. So another thing we're doing is we're hosting a race with the Southern Alberta Games, so we're part of that all. So yeah, it'll be kind of cool. So I'll pass it over to Klaus.
We have a presentation there. Let me just find it here.
This is your speed on how
Yeah.
Oh,
God. Let's get this a little smaller here. Okay, so I'm just going to cover some of the things that Steve said as well, and we are excited about the partnership that we have, and Steve talked about that. We are so thankful for the town, for the volunteers, for the corporate memberships, for the memberships, for the people who volunteer. We are excited that the Trail Network is not just a network, it's what I believe is a big part of the infrastructure now of Tabor. We're quite proud of it. And it started, I think, in 2017 when we were just biking on some deer trail, and to where we are now, we're quite excited about that. So what opportunity does the town have? Well, you have some wonderful opportunities, and we're going to talk about those today. And we can't wait to share those and get some feedback from you as well. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the current investment that we have, and Steve talked about this. We ourselves as a trail club have invested over $24,000 back into the trail development through our own memberships and events that we've hosted. This includes purchasing as well $5,000 in tools and supplies for trail building. The financial contributions are listed there. We've got lots of donations from the MD, but also from the town and from others as well. Lots of in-kind donations as well, which speaks to the wonderful contributions of our town. And these are the events. Steve talked about those as well. We've got running events, hiking events. We see lots of walkers out there, lots of bikers. We're excited about the grassroots. Gnarly Niblets, we sell out within an hour every time. Getting the kids out there, that's really important because someday us as a trail group, we will need those young kids to continue to carry the torch and keep moving forward with that. So, has it been working? Well, our membership since inception in 2020, we've averaged between 150 and 180 members per year, 400 plus hours of volunteer work, over 600 hours of about 700 hours last year, and 100 hours of volunteer work just organizing our events, the Tabor Tough, the running event, and the Old Man Mayhem, our biking event. Just to talk a little bit about the popularity of our trails, you can see these are 3 of our trails. using Strava and Trailforks. Those are two apps online that keep data of where you're riding, and most people who ride the trails use either one of these. Passing Lanes, which is just located off Trout Pond Loop. There was over 2,000 ride logs and 2,200 check-ins. Magic Carpet, you can read the numbers there. This was created late in 2023. This is a great one, especially for kids as they're learning berms and some of the little jumps. And then finally, TikTok Trail. And this one's really important to notice. This is the farthest trail away from any of our trailheads, and we're still almost 2,000 ride logs, meaning that our network is not just isolated in one small spot. People are extending all the way out. We want to just give a little comparable here in the pink there. Taber has some trails that are high in global rankings. We are attracting more and more riders and runners to our trail network because of the work that is being done. Rock and Roll is quite popular, 75 out of 100 for popularity within our trail network is the highest. The global ranking is just over 50 or just under 16,000. You can see the ride logs and the check-ins. And we compare it to Double Bogey, which is a trail in Lethbridge. It's got 100 out of 100 popularity, meaning that when people ride, like they're riding that one almost every single time. And the global ranking is well below us. And it's not comparative, it's not a competition, but we do want to show that our network is putting us on the map when it comes to riding. What we have right now, we are aiming for about 45 kilometers of total trail network. We are just over 30 kilometers. We'd be 35 now with the new additions that we have behind the
Horsefly Spillway area.
Spillway area, yep, thank you. In 2019, we started with 12 to 15 kilometers, so we have made great additions, lots of additions for people. And you can see some of the contributions there listed there on the side. So our master plan, well, our approved master plan increase the green trails. We need introductory trails. We've got lots that are for the avid biker, and we need to get kids and hopefully their parents excited about riding their bikes. So we need some green trails, trails that are introductory, where the risk of injury is quite low. And so when we put together the master plan, some of those green trails were the focus for us. And then future planning, we are looking to add another 3 to 4K of running trail on the east end close to Trout Pond. The approximate cost to build is between $20,000 to $30,000 per kilometer. It depends on the variables. This is high quality work. When we first started, we have a book that we read from IMBA, International Mountain Bike Trail building, and we would follow that. We had our little calculators out there averaging all the percentages and so on. And we are not experts, and we can see the transition from the trails that we've built, which we're still proud of, to the company that we recently had in. The quality is incredible. Here are some wonderful pictures of people having fun. Okay, so the fundraising campaign. So we are hoping that the town would like to join us in some sort of matching donation process. We want to do some fundraising so that we can complete our master plan by 2026. And again, we just foresee more growth availability when it comes to the economic impact that we have when we host our races, getting people into town, exposing people to the wonderful trails of Taber. And so we have a big ask here. What we hope to do is start our fundraising shortly and have the town join us in that. We're hoping that the town would consider matching up to $100,000 in donations. We know that's a big ask. And so we are definitely open to some sort of variable over 2-3 years, what that looks like. We know that we want to continue developing our trail network for the sake of our town and for the people who come to visit, but also for the people who live here as well, and a main focus on the grassroots, the youth as well. And just a wonderful quote here that I'd like to read to you. A well-developed outdoor trail network is more than just a path through nature. It is an investment in a community's health, economy, and quality of life. Trails connect people to the outdoors, promote active living, boost local businesses, and create spaces for social interaction. A place that prioritizes its trail system is a place that prioritizes its people. Now, we're wondering if you have any questions for us.
All right, thank you. Counselor Effort.
Awesome, thank you guys very much. Membership was in like close to 200, you said?
Yeah.
So comparable for me, like that is double what minor hockey is. That is probably soccer might compare to that. So that's a big one, you know, and hockey's a year-to-year thing, right? So if you're looking at $100,000, let's just say 100,000. So you're looking at 100 from MD, 100 from Tabor, 100 from donations. So let's say that 300,000. What that builds? What is it going to cost to maintain that? Like, is that fall into your budget going forward, or is that going to be something that, you know, you build it and it stays for a long time?
The maintenance would still continue to be a Trail 77 initiative, just like we've been doing in the past. It's just the building part, we'd like to start sourcing some of those things out, and then we come in and take care of it afterwards.
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. You know, so you're not concerned about, you know, getting that much bigger and having trouble with the maintenance costs?
No, on volunteer side, like you guys have been helping in the past, like since 2020, I think it was 5,000 for the first 3 years, and then I think last year we got bumped to that 10,000 mark.
Yeah.
I think that number would still remain the same. We just need some more volunteer hours, which I don't see being a problem.
All right, thank you. Counselor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, gentlemen, for your very passionate and committed presentation. $100,000 is a lot of money, is right. I see you went to the rec board with this, and there was no motion for it coming from the rec board, except that they recommended you go to council with it. But what was the general feeling of the rec board regarding the $100,000?
They loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Can you prove that, sir?
So I think we wanted the opportunity to bring it to you. And so I'm not sure if they were willing to move on any motion in that regard, the finances. You'd have to speak to them. But I think the fact that they granted us this request to come forward to you speaks about support for what we are doing.
Yeah, and I can speak to that, Counselor
thank you,
Beckering. I
Mr.
was
Mayor.
there, I was present, and it was a very good presentation. This is a very good presentation. Thank you again so much. It was very positive, but it was basically thought that it needed to come to council because we're talking about the money approval possibility, right? But it was certainly supportive of this kind of ask, and the project going forward. It's a continuation and continuing to evolve, right? And it's done very well. You've done very well with your volunteers and your membership, and the several events that have gone over very well as well. And so it's a win-win scenario all the way around for the community. And it's really enhanced our trout pond and the whole recreational vision of what that's all about. So very supportive of that, absolutely. Councilor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. And I'm just so pleased at how well this whole Trail 77 park has turned out for you guys. I think the collaboration with the riding group and with the running and everything is just exceptional. Have you guys ever looked into any grant funding? I know Mr. Casarella is in the back. Maybe he can talk to you afterwards, but have you looked into any grant funding?
When we first started with the Pump Track and Skills Park, we went after a couple of grants. We were successful with some more like commercial grants through some companies and stuff like that. We were unsuccessful in the CFIP, I think it was called, in community facility. At this time, we haven't looked into for this area, for that part of it, but we could definitely look into it.
I just have one more thing.
Sure, yeah.
Just in regards to Mr. Remfort's comment of like how big is too big for you to maintain? Like, are you reaching your capacity?
I would say possibly at the end of this phase, like if once we get to that 40 or 45 kilometers, like we've chatted to, like once our area is starting to get pretty full too. We've been to other networks where it's kind of all of a sudden turned into like a too much crisscrossing. It's like a maze of trails right now. I think we're pretty set up. We do have some crossing trails, which were some of the older ones, but now we're definitely looking forward to like planning it better, more just general maintenance. I don't think it'll be too much, but I think we'll be nearing our capacity when this is completed.
All right, thank you. Councilor Firth.
If I can add, sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead if you like, sure.
Just one, we did apply for another grant. There's a provincial trail grant. We were denied because it's on town property, not Crown land. And so we applied again this year just because we thought we'd apply again this year. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Councilor Firth.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been so glad to see this partnership grow over the years. The trail system is a definite asset to our community, and it's not just members that are using your trail system. Like, as happy as I am to see your membership grow, what is so great about it is that anybody can go out and use it. And the pump track, I see every time I drive past, there is always somebody there. Like, I never see that place empty. My question was, you have the same ask of the MD, I'm guessing? Yes? Okay, so you're potentially looking to raise $300,000 is the goal. Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you, Councilor Renfret.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This is more to the council. These guys are at a bit of a disadvantage because we have other sports like hockey, soccer, baseball, lacrosse, right? And you talk about, get money. Every year, you can't hold me to it. I don't think our rinks make money. I don't think our rink makes money. Like, we have to put, so that. So every year, we don't see hockey standing here, lacrosse standing here, because they don't have to, because we are already giving money to them, right? We already are through taxes. These guys sometimes are at an advantage that they're new. So if we start to see that these guys have done so well, if they start being similar, which I believe they are, right? I don't think their ask is that big, because I don't want to ask administration to break it down. And as a hockey, I'm part of minor hockey. I don't want to find out what hockey costs the town. I don't want to know that number, but I know it's something, right? I know it's something, right? And it's probably less than these guys are asking over a 5-year period. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm willing to make a motion. I know we have a motion very similar to the expansion of the Clearview Lodge that we made a motion on based on if another thing happens, if the MD says yes, if they get the money. So I'm just asking for some help in drafting the motion that has that in it. So we're not just saying here's $100,000 no matter what, right? So I guess what's alternate number one say? Well, no, I think I'll make a motion that. Yes, I'll make a motion that council could request administration to have further discussions with Trail 77 to come up with a sponsorship grant program to match the MD's $100,000, our $100,000, and a donation level of $100,000 max. I want some numbers in there, so I'm putting some numbers in there.
All right, thank you. Do you have a motion on the table, Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question. So with this money, how long, by hiring this group, how long does it take then to complete the trail that you're looking to complete?
So the project they just completed over the last, they completed about 2 weeks ago. They were here for about 3 weeks, and I think they built 2.4 or 2.3 kilometers. That's 4 or 5 people working.
All right, thank you, Councilor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not speaking for or against the motion at the present time. I just want to make a comment regarding Councilor Renford's previous comment regarding what it costs to operate ice rinks. But I'm telling you, Councilor Renford, that between the 2 rinks, the swimming pool and the auditorium, I'm pretty accurate, there is a deficit, net deficit of $1 million per year. So that goes to show you that $100,000 is not a whole lot of money in comparison, but it's still a lot of money, right? Regarding the motion, a little clumsy, but it's okay.
Okay.
All right, Councilor Renford.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say in this clumsy motion I'm making, it is for you to work on drafting a motion, kind of, right? Kind of where I'm getting at it? Okay, thanks.
All right, Councilor Sorensen.
Very clumsy, and you should work on this. But I support the motion. I think that there's a lot of residents and a lot of people in the area that use this track, and how can you not support this? So.
All right, yeah, just to confirm for our administration, does this cover the bases, not make it awkward for the administration to go forward?
Yeah, I think we have the gist of it. Administration will come up with something and bring that back in front of council so that you can review the motion and maybe not in
Okay.
exact words, but.
All right, thank you, Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's kind of, Darren sort of answered it, but do we have the gist of the motion kind of read back to us? Like, yeah,
Councillor Renfrew, she can read back the motion, but
then we can amend it.
Okay, so is that loud enough?
Yep.
So we went with alternative one. Council could request administration to have further discussions with Trail 77 Association to come up with a sponsorship matching grant program and to match the MD's $100,000 and a donation level of $100,000 maximum.
So we're basically saying we'll put out $100,000 with this motion.
And the administration's going to look into setting up something like that, not guaranteeing
But
it,
no, the motion reads, we will.
up to,
Okay.
whatever they figure out.
Just the way I understood the motion is we're giving $100,000.
no.
I'm sorry.
It is contingent on the MD. The clumsy part is we don't know what the MD is going to give. So
Yes.
they may not give $100,000, but that's okay. We can still work on whatever it is. And because we have a maximum of $100,000, we're not too concerned about what that might end up being.
Like with what your motion is, I think it's great. Like, it's amazing, like how many kilometers you got out there now. You have discussed with the horse membership, are they contributing to this at all, or? No, it's a serious question.
not
They
finance.
they ride out there, so are they been approached?
We've had meetings with the horse group. I'm not saying a negative or a positive, but just not much action has been taken. We met last year to do the agreement. We signed off on it. We had a couple instances where it didn't quite go how it was, and not all in a bad way. Like, it was all resolved in a good, good emails and chat and stuff like that. But at this time, not much on their end has actually happened. So, we had a meeting, I think a month ago it's an annual review. We met with Brian Martin and myself and a couple of the horse riders. And there was just chatter of, them doing stuff again, but at this time, we don't know if they have a plan for it, and I can't speak for what they want to do, but this is our plan. Our club focuses on Trail 77 mandated stuff, and that's kind of where we're at, so.
I have to ask, this land, this is MD owned land by Nakamira's there that you're building this trail on, or is it?
So the entirety of the 300 grand will be used, some of it will be used in that area because we've already done some of the work now, and some of the other areas will be on town land. Like, we've got a couple of trails that need new work. Rock and Roll, that the one was talked about, we had done some erosion problems, but with that, we've kind of leveled things out. So we need to add features. There's Pack Your Guns that we want to work on. Snake Swamp Coulee. So it's a mix of MD and town
So
land.
this
That's why we're
money,
approaching
this money's
both.
going to the whole
network.
project, really, not just this one specific area. But this, I can't remember the name of the new area north of the river. That's the newest part you're developing, correct?
The main area that was part of the big portion of the master plan that was approved is in the Horsefly Spillway area, like right directly north of Nakamura's and west of Nakamura Farm, and right behind the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah. And is that, who owns that land?
I think that's the town of Tabor.
I believe that is town, yeah.
Okay, no, that's good. I was just looking out there, and I gotta ask the question, are these horse trails that you're taking, or are they brand new trails?
So the proposed master plan was sent to you guys. I think it was accepted in 2023 or 2022 already. So they've seen the master plan,
Okay.
all that. Nothing's been hidden from them. They know we're going in there and building. And at the same time, it was an approved master plan by
Okay,
you
so
guys.
this plan here has been your thoughts
Yeah.
since you started the trails. This isn't a new idea north of.
You guys accepted or approved it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, this was part of that then. This isn't a whole new idea to put more trails somewhere else. So,
Yeah,
no, it's all good. I think it's a great thing to do if we can come up with the money for it. And like Councillor Beckering said, $1 million spent, just, it's a lot of money. And I don't see you guys having a lot of expenses once it's built, because you rely on your volunteers so much, so. We
Yeah,
hope.
just to confirm, the Satcher Group was here to see the rec board here last month, and they want to come to council present also. And they are looking to have some more events and more things happening this year was their ask. Councillor Renfrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have you met with the MD yet? No. So that's good. That's good. No, it's, I mean, but the MD, I've sometimes thought, should maybe put money into the rink, but they have rinks like in Vauxhall and stuff like that. So they have other monies to spend in ball diamonds in, municipalities. However, they do not have somewhere to spend like this. So they should be, this is a one-off. So they should be very receptive to this, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, well, I hope so too. I just kind of worry about putting a little pressure on them. It's nice to collaborate for sure. We've done that a lot before.
They should be very receptive. There's no other trail 79 that they're
No, well, they can, they're welcome to hear the presentation. They make their own decisions there, but it's kind of open-ended, I think, right now. So, Councillor Sorensen.
Looks like you need to take someone else to the MD meeting. I just wanted to say that I think the trail riders aren't necessarily supposed to ride on our trails. They're supposed to be riding on the pasture, and that's their intention, is not to wreck the trails. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think it's agreed on. Was it a couple of trails or something was kind of earmarked for access down to the river, right? But anyway, that's through the agreement. That's a little more involved that way. But all right, so we do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Carried unanimously. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
10 minutes too long.
All right, on to item 8.2, Delegation Progressive West Consulting. Mr. Stevel.
So we have Peter Casarella, who's going to come forward with the presentation. Peter, I did get your email with the presentation. You can just hook into our HDMI cable if you so chose, if your presentation's on there. On my computer, I do not, because it's on a separate computer there. So if you want to show the presentation to council, I can bring my computer over, or you could plug in your HDMI.
I'm still good. Okay, thanks.
Hey. Is this on? Yep. Red is good? Red is good. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here today. Mayor, councilors, good to see you all again.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm here to present on the Economic Development Foundations project that was completed over the year of 2024 with cleanup work happening in January and February of this year. To just talk about what we've done and also to report on the grant writing program that we're engaged in with administration and been working on for the past number of years. So we set out with a slide that works.
Good start.
Yeah, it's supposed to be up.
First one.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, entered into discussions with both the Municipal District of Taber and the Town of Taber to have a slide that works normally. They were looking to hire basically a joint resource at the time to implement regional economic development work. And they've been having some trouble with recruitment. So you know that my titled role is the Executive Director of South Crow, but with their blessing, we do a lot of economic development work on the side. So we basically said, we can't come and be your economic development representation, but we can lay a lot of the groundwork for you. And so we sketched out a plan that would basically see me and my team working over a year to pull all the disparate pieces together of all the economic development work that had been done in the region over the past number of years, organize it, learn the lessons that had already been paid for so that we weren't duplicating any efforts, really hammer down the landscape so we understood what other groups that you're already part of and what you're already paying for are doing so that we're not duplicating efforts that already exist, and really zero in on the opportunities that Taber and the MD of Taber either separately or jointly can pursue together. And so that yielded the work that we set out to accomplish with slides that work again. So there was really 8 main deliverables. The two things that have green bars beside them were the large research projects. At the end of the year, we had close to 350 pages of dense material between all of the various different investment sheets that were typed up.
in the investment attraction profiles that were made for the Taber region, including all the different 6 languages that we translated them into. Amy and Darren are sitting on a massive pile of resources that can be used in order to implement the suggested operational plan, which we'll be going over in a minute. Now, the operational plan is, as I said, informed by the 2 major investigations. Number 1, situational analysis. What has already been done and what lessons can we learn just from doing research so that we're not repeating work that's already been done and pulling those lessons out of it. Number 2, research into the economic environment that we're in. Are those lessons that might have happened before the pandemic still true today? How are they still true? How might we pivot the projects today? And then number 3, doing a business retention and expansion regional survey, because the vast majority of economic growth is going to come not from new smokestacks in your communities, but from the people who are already here and invested here. So we went out and learned the lessons from stakeholders across the entire region. What's working for you in the MD and in the town? What isn't working for you? Where can we improve things? And the lessons that came through there helped inform the plan as well. And the rest of the things that are up there are various tools that were created to support that. This is just an overview of kind of the logic structure. The analysis informed an operational plan, and the tools down below are things that can aid in the implementation of that operational plan. And all of the projects are things that either can be done separately by the 2 municipalities or together jointly where it makes sense. Now, just to step back, you're in a really good position to implement an action on this because, unlike most of the region, Taber has a lot going for it. Your staff are ahead of the game. You actually have staff who know what they are doing, and they are currently implementing on this sort of data-informed analysis. So number 1, a number of years ago, we learned very, very conclusively that industrial land sales weren't moving. So we evaluated together between my hat on South Grow and administration over here, why isn't it moving? And so we did some price comparisons, came back to council with some ideas, and we got the industrial land down into that zone where it would move, understanding that even if it moves, even if it's at a loss, the long-term benefit to the region is overwhelmingly positive. And since your administration pivoted, you're in a situation now today where you're selling your land like crazy, and you have a new problem where you have to make more of it, that kind of thing. Labor bottlenecks. We start selling land, higher demand for labor. Everyone's facing a labor bottleneck, Taber extremely so. Geography might be our best friend here in southern Alberta, but labor is not. And industrial growth isn't just going to happen because of where we are and at the time that we're in. We have to address some of these bottlenecks. So your team pivoted. You started looking at things like doing the immigration expansion program, which brought in quite a few people during its run, a very good solid run, and then looking at housing. How do we get more doors in our community so people can actually afford to live here? I remember one incident where we couldn't actually get a municipal intern in town because there was no place for them to live, which was a crazy accent point on the problem. So you've done a great job at pivoting to get more doors in town. And of course, capacity for economic development. It's pretty wild that the MD in the town even had to hire us to build this plan because you couldn't find a qualified candidate the first time around to come in and fill that role. And this is a very real issue that's happening in many different places. But by leaning into building the partnerships, it's been inspiring to see the 2 communities working together. As somebody who really believes in the power of regionalism, I get to see a lot of the things happening at the staff level between the 2 administrations, and it's beautiful. There are no other relationships in the region that are this close, which might sound weird to some of you when you see some of the tensions day to day, but it's true. So you're in a good position to implement some of the operational recommendations. A few of these things I'd like to highlight. Number 1, business lists. Business licenses are there for data, not for revenue. It's easy for me to say coming from outside of the town, but the more business lists we can get, the better data we can get and the more inclusion and participation from industry we can have. Economic developers like myself often get criticized because, hey, you guys just sit in an ivory tower and you do things for the public that never filter down to actual business because it's hard to contact them. It's really hard to contact them. But you're sitting on top of a mechanism, the business licenses, which if it can be expanded and made more accessible, you already have one, but then expanded to the MD where we can get contact information. You're a trusted brand. A consultant? I'm not. Getting responses to our survey is really hard. We had to pound the pavement, shake a lot of hands, make a lot of phone calls. You have a trusted brand. And getting that information makes it so much easier to get data. Ideally, we repeat the business retention and expansion survey every 3 to 5 years. And the more information and trusted contact information we have, the easier it does to get that work done. And then we can involve all those people in training programs and in information sessions and get more feedback from business industry on the programs that the municipalities run. The Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, since we put this list together, that has shifted wildly with the federal shutdown on a lot of immigration. So looking for a new direction on that one. Healthcare recruitment and retention, Taber has it pretty good right now. A lot of the outlying areas don't, and it could change at the drop of a hat. So one of our recommendations is putting together that stakeholder group to constantly stay on top of these issues. What's happening in the community? Do we have gaps? How can we find solutions to the gaps that we're facing? So it's an important part that a lot of people identified, having those qualified healthcare providers and all the services right here in the county. Highway 3 transit, a lot of people talked about the need to get transit solutions up and down Highway 3. We've had stops and starts in this file for a long time, so we have suggested work in there on the role that the municipalities could play in partnership with industry on solving that issue, because it really is industry that's having the problem. They should be at the table, but government can help facilitate some of these conversations too. Housing enabling work, everybody's working on this. This is something that the MD is trying to step up on as well, offering more different variation in supply of housing. I'm going to skip down to the next slide if you have any questions about these things as we go. We did get resourced the Global Marketing and Lead Generation Program as well. That was funded by Can Export and the NRED grant. Partially successful on the Can Export grant and fully successful on the NRED grant. And so the town of Taber is leading that partnership with the MD. That's being implemented right now. Local site selection and opportunity development. We put together I've got some really, really talented kids who are really good at the marketing stuff. We've got some beautiful investor sheets that are all ready to go out to Invest Alberta, Invest in Canada. Your people are armed with these resources in 6 different languages. Of course, we recommend building more industrial land, stuff that you're working on, and that we're desperately trying to get something like a rail spur to be partially funded, because the long-term payback on the rail spur, I could go on and spend the rest of my time on that, Mayor. Commercial property enabling suggestions for bylaw amendments to allow more flexibility in commercial land use. Just skipping through a few things here. Business incubation. This is one of those areas where it's really, really good collaboration. You've got a few public organizations in town where you could partner together to provide space and seed funding to help give office space and connection and supports to a select number of businesses from across the region that are looking to get their startup, so that they don't have to go into like economic development Lethbridge to get their incubation that way. That's something that we can always talk more about. Annual placemaking. I wanted to touch on Cornstalk, by the way, is amazing. It's an idea whose time has come. Regional trail development. We just had these guys talking to us here. That was recommended here before I ever knew these guys even existed here. But okay, so you guys pay for us to write grants. The MD pays for us to write grants. There's a lot of grants out there for this specific kind of thing, as long as they're willing to pivot their concept a bit. So we run the Link Pathway Association as well, which is building the 15 kilometers between Lethbridge and Coaldale, and that's gone really, really well. We're like on the verge of getting all of our funding in place. We've already built 5 kilometers of trail. We've gotten, it was really easy to get involved in the Trans-Canada Trail Network. So as long as part of their concept is creating a link along Highway 3, because the Trans-Canada Trail Network wants to build out along Highway 3, and it's got to be greenway trails, so not on the highway, that kind of thing. This is the perfect thing for that, as long as they're willing to pivot. We just got $60,000 a year in capital funding for Link Pathway. So when they're asking for $100,000, there's 60 and 60. We've gotten planning as well. We've gotten signage grants. There's a lot of money there. And depending on what happens with the federal election today, there's lots of existing grant money, as hard as it might be to say in some such situations, but there's lots of money for those kind of things. So please throw those people at us.
Did you discuss anything with the guys here?
No, but Steve helped me give him my card. So, and Darren, I'm sure will do an introduction as well.
So just to confirm, Peter, on that particular note, there's something that you've been successful already with that type of grant in Coaldale area. Yeah. Okay.
They might have to pivot on their concept a bit, because as they mentioned, they applied for like off-trail grants that has to go on capital land. That grant is not a fit. But if they're willing to lean into the narrative of providing east-west linkages, and they're willing to work with the county in order to extend things like along the canals, because the SRMID has been the ones who have enabled making the link pathway happen, allowing us to go along their canalway and assuming that risk, copying the model from Chestermere where they built a trail along the canalways from Chestermere to Calgary. Right. You have the SRMID here, and George Loheys is a huge supporter of this kind of thing, and he's the president of the board there. There's a lot that could happen.
Right. Okay, great.
And
Really
it's
good
in
to
your
know.
economic development plan.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and the MD council should be reminded that this is in their economic development plan as well when those guys go to present. And then, of course, the last thing I always put is water sustainability. You should always have a standing committee between the two communities, Barnwell, Vauxhall included as well, that's always looking at water sustainability for the region. We have had 50-year droughts before. We have them again. And anything that the communities can do to proactively create more storage, to argue with other groups in favor of more storage, to prepare yourself against those times, water's at the basis of everything we do. All of our goals, of course, are broken down into what I call smarter goals. It's the stuff you see on the Southco reports. They need to have measurable outcomes. That's the only way economic developers like myself keep our jobs, is if it's not airy-fairy, but it's practical and we can point to our results that we get out of our projects. You're set to go. I'm going to keep moving in the interest of time. I just want to talk about the grant work that we've done for you. It's been a little over 2 years now we've been doing. We're in the middle of year 3 currently. And one of the big things that we've come to at this point is that we feel like we're fully integrated into the team. We are able to talk to all of your various directors and managers. They pick up the phone and they call us. We feel like we've built a lot of trust. It took a while to get to this point because, we just knew a few people when we started, but now we're all working together on the projects, integrated quite well. We've applied for 30 grants over the past 2 and a bit years for a total value of just about 19 million there. We've got just under 2 million successful at this point, just under 6 million, just under 1.6 million that's been rejected, and waiting decision on, just over 15 million. Most of that 15 million is across 3 very, very large ones, including the STIP, to try to get rail infrastructure. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. If we do, it'll be a massive win because it'll crack open the door to anybody who wants to get a rail spur. The Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund to move forward some of the initiatives that Darren and Chris have been chasing with regard to some of the partnerships you have with private developers, and of course the GICB grant. A lot of the stuff that's been worked on with Blake has really made your operations more efficient, which has also been a huge win, I think, that your administration has pursued. Blake Hernak's work alone in that 1 year saved you guys over $300,000 in energy costs, and there's still a lot more of those kind of targets out there. And I like to brag that our leverage ratio has been 14 to 1 so far over the 2 and a bit years. So,
Peter, just a question, with that 15 million you're waiting decision on, any timeline that you're expecting with any of those at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep, some of them worse than others. GICB is notoriously bad. That's the Green and Inclusive Community Buildings Fund. It depends really on your federal ministry. NRCan has had a particularly rough go over the last number of years. I've worked on some NRCan projects that have made me older, actively. Yeah, the federal government, they sure do hand out a lot of money, but man, you got to work for it.
Yeah. Slow going, no doubt. But
thank you for listening.
All right.
I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter, for
employing me.
your very in-depth presentation. Appreciate that very much. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Peter, for your presentation. Always very, very on point.
Thanks, sir.
Your comment regarding their spur, I know that's going to be a tough one to crack, and I know it's very expensive. Because Coaldale's was $8 million and was 50% Coaldale, 50% the company.
Yes.
So hold your breath on that baby, but nevertheless, you try, right? So, because we're talking about $10 million, right, Mr. 11 million bucks, yeah. And the other one, big one, of course, is the rink, I think, or the.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir, very good.
You should get administration at some time to do an induced benefits analysis from the rail spur. So it's not just the taxation you get back from one facility similar to one that happened in Coaldale. It's all of the spin-offs, all of the additional, it raises the GDP of the region by many, many, many millions. But once again, it's nice to bring somebody to the table to start those conversations.
And you're talking about, is that some expert in that area? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, there
an
are
expert
experts in that
individual
area.
to speak to that?
Yeah, who do these induced benefits. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Peter. Doing a great job, I think, and I'm glad you're on board with us and appreciate everything you're doing. So, great presentation.
All right, Councillor Rufford.
Yes, I also want to say thanks, and Kim that works with you, she was successful in helping Tabor Minor Hockey get about $108,000 just a couple weeks ago. That was awesome. So I have passed it on to everybody that ever, the museum ladies, I've passed it on to everybody. Like they should be working with you guys. Like I was shocked. One day with the secretary or the treasurer goes, "There's $108,000 in the account." And I said, "No way." I went, "Look, yeah, good job, thanks."
All right, any other questions? Councillor Sorensen.
Sorry I missed our meeting here, but I just want to say that Peter and South Grow help facilitate collaboration in the region, and this economic development position that you're helping everybody feel, especially smaller communities, is a huge benefit for our region. And I wish you luck. I hope that we all can work together to help each other. And can you elaborate on the
Absolutely. Yeah.
that program, please?
If I may, Mayor, and just take my hat off and put on the South Grow hat.
Sorry.
So we were successful over at South Grow getting a large NRED grant to fund a 3-year position for an economic development officer for the region. And so what we're going to be doing over the next 3 years is something we did in 2011 under my predecessor. And that's going to be building custom economic development plans for all of the South Grow communities. So Michaela Gross, who's from Bow Island, farm girl from over there, she's been working with us for a few years. Really smart. We've been super impressed. And so Kim and I are going to be supervising her, going out and building these plans that are scalable to those communities, specific to them, with things that they can actually implement. Places like Barnwell and Vauxhall, coming up with the projects, data informed, that they can specifically pursue. For our larger municipalities who have economic development plans like yourself, we're going to be sitting down with Amy and Darren and talking about, okay, how can we add bandwidth here? What's the role and the value that you get out of this? Thank you for bringing it up and allowing me to switch the hats. So.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you once again, Peter.
Thank you, sir.
You can't cut your hair until we get a rail spur. I've known Peter since he owns a brush cut.
Yeah.
A long time.
Well, we should talk rail.
Good job. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just go through the media inquiries. Any media inquiries? All right. I just asked the motion to move into closed session, asked the motion for a meal break and then move into closed session. We'll reconvene. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you.
So you think MD coming out of my mouth is against wild?
Well, you gotta be careful, because those guys, they're a bunch of farmers, you can't tell them nothing.
I mean, yeah, good. Let them run. No. It's in their plan.
Yeah, I know, but.
Well, I think we do so much. It's not fair.
Oh, geez, stiff.